anyone's here so far. I don't think so anyway. I think I'm on my own. I'm going to wait for some people to join. Hopefully we'll have some people joining. Hopefully Guy, my co-host, that would probably be the best thing to happen, is to have my co-host here. I'm sure he will. Can't see anyone in here yet. But either way, I'm going to unwrap and start to eat my 80s snack, which is a Cornetto, before it's seductively unwrap and eat. Hello, Sam. Hello, honey. You've just caught me in time to seductively eat this Cornetto. I can't get out of the wrapping now. Ow. I can't. It's not coming out. Hi, Alison. I'm just going to bring Guy on camera. I'm trying my best to bring Guy on camera. In the interim, though, you're going to have to watch me eat this Cornetto, which should keep you suitably entertained while we get through these technical difficulties. For some reason, Facebook is reluctant to bring Guy on. I don't know what Guy's been saying on Facebook, but he's obviously said some very personal things about Mark Zuckerberg, and maybe that's why we have these technical difficulties. I'm hoping I can get Guy in before I finish this Cornetto, because I really haven't got any more filler apart from just eating this Cornetto. It's the jeopardy. Can Guy get into this call before I finish this Cornetto? Because I'm not going to let this Cornetto melt. So it is a real jeopardy. It's like we're just watching Flash Gordon. It's a bit like the hourglass that runs up. It's a Cornetto that's going to disappear. Hope you didn't hear my stomach rumble then. That was embarrassing. Well, I'm going to hoof it. He's here!
Yes, finally.
You look awesome.
I can't actually see at all. Hang on.
It's worth the wait. I've got my Eric Morecambe's on, so didn't really think about that before. So who have you come as today, Guy? You gotta, before we get into the other stuff.
Well, it's a sort of amalgam of all chilled and laid-back summer dudes, basically. You know, every summery, chilled, laid-back dude that ever there was, I've rolled into myself.
Nice, I like it. Oh, well, I'm just catching up with the comments. I'm getting everything. So I've got you in the comments, so I've got everything. So I've come as Richard from Weekend at Bernie's. This is my Finnish copy. I've got a copy in every single language. This happens to be my Finnish copy. Kuan Elakuun Bernie in my best Finnish. Anyway, so just in case anyone's not watched Film Club before, this is where Guy and I go back to the 80s in our DeLorean, and we try and decide what this month, what summer film to watch from the video shop. I'm imagining actually we're in the kind of village shop or village store from the Great Outdoors, and there's some videos in the back, like a very small selection of videos, and that's why we've only got these two, because I think we've had stronger contenders before.
Yeah.
But we got these two today. But I think that's because of the limited choice at the back of this shop, I reckon.
Yeah. Two VHS videos, some pasta in a packet that's sellotaped, and some melted chocolate, I reckon.
And hopefully some alcohol. So I think what's happened here is Guy and I, major pressure from our sort of our publishers. We've been told we've got to get our books out. We can't live off the advances we've got anymore. So we've decided we're going to just go in a cabin in the woods, finish the books, and probably drink a lot of bourbon.
write that bestseller. Absolutely.
Cool.
So the guy that wrote The Exorcist, he actually went to a cabin in the woods to write it, and he spent a year trying to write it. It was only when he went home that he actually could write it. All that time, the cabin didn't do anything. He went home and he said, "Oh yeah, I've got it." Sort of wrote the whole thing.
Okay, cool. So what have you been doing with your summer holidays, Guy? What have you been doing this summer?
Well, obviously laid back, dude, chilled stuff, as one would expect. A little bit of writing, quite a few gigs, which has been sort of awesome. And that's been it, really, hanging out with the family. It's been really nice, actually. It's gone really quickly. What about you?
Oh, nice. Have you seen Raymond Briggs' Father Christmas?
Yeah.
Have you seen that? That's what our summer's been like. We took the private jet, we went to France, we were having a great time. Someone recognised us, and we started to get papped, and those people, so we had to leave. And then we went to Scotland. Same thing happened again. Went in a pub, loads of people saw us, we got papped, we had to leave again. Private jet, went to Las Vegas. It's been a hell. Yeah. It's been a hell. We've pretty much been to every major destination globally that you could think of. So I'm tired now. I'm looking forward to actually not changing time zones and eating caviar on the plane. I'm happy just to stay here and munch through this box of Cornettos.
Yeah, it's hard work being a film. I don't think people really appreciate the lengths we have to go. I don't have to be like this all the time now. I feel like this guy, and it's stressful, to be honest. What about, so other than Cornettos, did you have any other snacks, or did you just go with the ice cream?
I've pretty much eaten everything I've got. I went with the Cornetto. What have you got though? What did you bring? Hopefully you brought something that wasn't going to melt. The trouble is, mine was going to melt by the time I got you on the call.
I got some flying saucers.
Nice.
But they've got significantly less sherbet in them than I remember.
Yeah.
I've got one of these bad boys, the sherbet fountain. It's quite sherbety. The thing.
You can be high as a kite.
Right?
You can be high as a kite on all the sugar.
Yeah, I'm going to look like I've been taking coke, and obviously some love hearts as well.
Oh, nice.
Oh, and one more thing, and your picture as well.
Oh, okay. Nice, refreshing. Also, welcome to Anna Henderson. Hi. I'm getting the comments today, which is great. Sam can't remember our summer holiday, so that's quite worrying. So my wife can't remember what we did. It was a bit of a blur, so many people, so many places. I can understand completely. I can understand. Okay, right, we should probably get on with what we're here to do. So, we're in a video shop. We've only got two choices. I'm going to start my bid for Weekend at Bernie's. I know it's in Finnish, but, if people know myself and Guy, they'll know we speak impeccable Finnish, so it's not a barrier to watching this film. In fact, it adds a touch of class, I think, to a already classy film to watch it in Finnish. So, Weekend at Bernie's, if you're not familiar with what that film is, there's these two kind of people working in this big corporation, Larry and Richard, and they get invited by the boss, the CEO, to go to the Hamptons for the weekend, which is kind of like the posh beach place, I think, in New York. I don't really know the geography, but I think it's the posh place. I think Coney Island's, the cheapo place to go, and like the Hamptons is where you go if you've got a lot of money. So they get invited to their boss's place for the weekend, but as soon as they arrive, they find their boss dead, and rather do the I guess the normal thing, which would be to phone the police, and they decide, I got a good idea. Let's pretend Bernie, the boss, is still alive, so we can enjoy our weekend in the Hamptons. And that's what they do. And that's what the whole premise of the film is about: is pretending Bernie's still alive, and then all the kind of capers they get up to by keeping pretending that Bernie's still alive.
I thought it was brilliant, actually. Yeah, it's such a cool concept for a film. and I don't think anyone else has ever done it. But it's such a simple idea. It works so well, and I haven't seen
I
it
was,
for years, but
yeah.
I loved every minute watching it again. It's slightly gross. That's again, we talked about this thing of like appropriateness in 80s films, and it's like this corpse. They're just carrying this corpse around, dragging it up and down stairs. I think it would have looked more of a mess, to be honest, than it really did.
I was when I was doing some research for this film, I was absolutely I couldn't believe they'd made a sequel of this film.
Yeah.
I was like, how the hell do you make a sequel? I haven't seen it, but apparently the plot revolves around them they kind of try and bring back Bernie back from the dead using a voodoo ritual, and I think he's kind of halfway in between, so he's neither dead or alive. I just don't know if I could even bring myself to watch it, but I just couldn't believe that they managed to make a sequel of this film. This film if there was one film there wasn't going to be a sequel of, it was going to be this one, but they managed to squeeze a sequel out of it. I thought it was amazing. Right, so it was released in 1989. So we're probably actually, if we're hiring this out, we're looking more of the 90s actually, because it would have taken a year and a bit to get into the video shop, especially the video shop we're talking about. It was a 15, but has been reclassified to a 12 with the new classification system. It made a reasonable. It doubled its money. It cost 15 million and it made 30. So that's probably why they justified making another one. I still can't get over it. They made another one. People you might recognise in it. There's the guy, I always forget his name, so I'm glad I wrote it down. Andrew McCarthy, who is Larry. Most people, well, I remember him from Mannequin, which we've done on this channel. I don't know if there's any films you remember him from. I think he was he's kind of baby face, kind of. You can imagine a lot of women at the time finding him quite attractive.
Yeah, he was a big thing, wasn't he? He was one of those stars that he was really popular when he was young. Yeah, he did Mannequin. I say Breakfast at Tiffany's. I don't mean that. Breakfast Club. I think he was in a host of sort of like 80s, kind of like Brat Pack films, and then he sort of vanished for a bit. And then he's kind of back now and doing stuff. He was in a really good series, which was based on a Stephen King. What was it called now? Something like Kingdom Hospital. Really bizarre. He was a slightly oddball doctor that worked in the sort of basement of this hospital. Weird things going on. It was really, really good. And he was great in it. And maybe that sort of revived things. But yeah, and he's a travel writer now as well. He does loads of travel writing. But yeah, it started for him. I think these movies, this sort of period of time that he made all these movies, really kind of set him up, and he's a bit of a heartthrob, really. I sort of liked him. I liked him in Weekend at Bernie's. He reminded me of someone else. He reminded me a little bit of one of those black and white movies, the Bob Hope ones. I don't know if you ever saw those, the Road 2 films. Did you ever?
I've seen bits. I'm not the whole of one, though, but I've seen bits.
They're sort of a bit like buddy movies, and it kind of had a bit of the feel of that, But I just love the way he dresses in it as well. I was trying to do it, but I can't find any ties. But he has that sort of like check shirt and a completely mismatched tie, and he's just sort of really, you kind of instantly fall in love with him. I think in that movie, he's great. He steals it really.
I don't know if I'm getting any more comments, but please interrupt me if someone's making any more comments. But they might be just enjoying the show, eating their cornetto, so it might be why it's gone quiet. Who else was in it? I didn't have many people in this. There was Catherine Mary Stewart as Gwen, who's kind of the love interest, and I did recognise, but I had to look up who she was, and she was also the kind of, I guess, the love interest in The Last Starfighter, which I really like. That's the one where the guy's really good at the arcade machine, which is assuming some sort of Galaxian game, and because he's good at that, he gets recruited by the galaxy to fight in a war. She was in that, and there wasn't too many more actually. To be honest, she picked him out. The one that I quite liked, and I didn't manage to spot him really, was Skeet Ulrich, who was an uncredited extra, but he was Billy in Scream, who was I think he was the murderer, or one of the murderers. I think there was multiple, wasn't there, I think, in Scream. Sorry, spoiler. Oh, done it again. Balls. Have you not seen Scream? I really apologise. But he was in it somewhere. Maybe he was a little kid or something, because he would have been younger. But was there anyone you saw in this that I didn't pick up?
I'm not sure I recognised anyone other than who you said. That I thought the mafia guy that's chasing them around. I thought he was Peter Lorre, who was like an old actor from the sort of way back, black and white actor. He's very well known in the sort of 30s and 40s. And for some reason, I thought it was him, but then he would have aged remarkably well by the time that film came out. But it wasn't. It was someone completely different, and I didn't immediately recognise him. And the other guy, Terry Kaiser, who was Bernie, that he sort of played a corpse through most of the film. I thought he was someone else. I was convinced he was the guy from Beetlejuice that is like the ex-boss.
Oh, I know, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're very similar, don't they?
You know, and it wasn't. It's just someone completely different, you know. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of almost like a two-man sort of comedy, isn't it? It's almost like a play in some ways, because it's just set in the house and it's mostly just, you know.
You can imagine that. I can see that, yeah. Directed by Ted Kochev, which blows my mind because he also directed First Blood, the Stallone film. And I couldn't imagine two films more diametrically opposite than those two films. But yeah, I thought it was amazing. And he actually makes a cameo in it as well, as Richard's dad. You know, Richard brings back Gwen to his apartment, pretending he lives there on his own. And his dad wanders out in his underpants and vest to get a midnight drink, and kind of like interrupts him. But that was the director. That was the director doing a cameo in that bit.
One of my favourite lines from the film that made me laugh the most was in that scene. He's trying to pretend he's the butler, isn't he? And he says, "Just lay my suit out in the morning." And his dad says, "I'll lay you out." That's brilliant. Bad thing to say.
Yeah, he doesn't. He tries to skill that out, doesn't he? It doesn't quite work out, does it? But he tries to skill it, but it doesn't work. Written by Robert Klein, who wrote National Lampoon's European Vacation, which again is a film I really like as well. And the music was by a guy called Andy Summers. I can't remember the music really standing out to me, but he did Down and Out in Beverly Hills, which I think was Nick Nolte, the kind of homeless guy in that film, I think. From memory, it's been a while since I've seen that one. Okay, so yes, there were some names on this. There was, you know, they spent a bit of money, 15 million they spent on this. Okay, let's get into some funny bits then. Did you have any funny bits you wanted to? You mentioned a couple.
The laying out was really good. I like the mafia guy. Just send him to kind of kill Bernie, and then he keeps being convinced that he's alive again, and it takes all his confidence away, and he gets progressively more stressed and crazy throughout the film. That kind of, I just really like that character. I quite like when they're just towing his corpse through like around the sort of harbour, aren't they? And it's bashing into all the holes. And it's just disgusting, really. They don't notice at first. They just hear this like bang, and that did make me laugh. And I just thought the state of it when it came out, it would have just been like no head, and you know, it would have looked a lot worse. But
I think there's a lot of the thing that reminded me a little bit was Home Alone. So like the real humour in Home Alone starts when Macaulay Culkin is defending the house. Yeah. That's when it really gets really funny. And I felt it was a bit like this in this film. It doesn't really get properly funny until Bernie dies. Yeah. So that's pretty much the whole gag is around Bernie. I love the bits that you mentioned with the hitman. You know, because there's some things that happen with the hitman. Like there's a bit where they, I think I can't remember why they feel they need to do this, but they kind of throw Bernie off the balcony, and the hitman just happens to be below, and the hitman's convinced Bernie's attacking him, like jumping down on him and stuff. I thought it was really funny, and there's like a little bit where just by a bit of inertia that, and it's always funny, a kick in the balls,
Yeah.
but yeah, he manages to kick the hitman in the balls. So, so I think most of the humour is definitely definitely comes from Bernie. I think the other one I can't remember. It must be Andrew McCarthy, because he tends to be. I think Richard's got more of a conscience about what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, with this dead guy. I think Larry's like, no, we need to keep this going. We need to get the best out of it. So there's a bit where I'm sure he's starting to smell by this point, but to keep him a bit fresh, they start hoovering him because he's got like bits of snacks and stuff all over him. So they decide. So it's just there's a scene where he's just hoovering him with a Hoover attachment just to make sure he's looking spick and span. So I really like that bit as well. Oh dear. So anything on the comments, Guy, that you can see? Just because I think mine have stopped unless everyone's so engrossed.
Sam said you had a different summer to me. Maybe implying you weren't being quite truthful about the whole paparazzi thing. And top tier snacks.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But we're authors. We're paid to tell lies. I think it's our occupation.
Yeah, the reality. The line between reality and fiction is gone. Really.
Oh, Sam's just like the socialist. She's still here. Okay. Okay. It's an interesting bit. It's that I picked up, and this seemed to be similar to Secret of My Success. There seems to be lots of shots of creative truth. Yeah, definitely. In my case, a lot of the stuff has generally happened in some way, and I've kind of twisted it into something else. The latest chapter of Valhalla's like that. About a night Sam and I had years ago where I dressed up as Britney Spears, and it's kind of loosely based around that night, very loosely. Anyway, so I like that. Sam, creative truth. Yeah, similar to Secret of My Success, there seems to be loads and loads of shots of women's legs. It seems to be there was a lot of casting, probably of models, I think, in that film by all accounts. That seems to take up quite a lot of the camera time in this film. Loads of smoking, which again was, I guess, something of the time. Apparently, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman were originally penciled in for these roles. But I think they decided to take a slightly different tack with slightly older actors, and some of the plot change. They made some plot changes as a result of that. I was interested to find out actually that Bernie's house was a set, which I know they'd build sets for films, but they actually built a house at the end of Fort Fisher, which I don't know where that is, natural recreation area, and then they built this beautiful house, and then they tore it down at the end of filming, which seemed like a total waste of time, unless it was really unsafe, which it might have been, I guess. Lots of films we know where they filmed in unsafe places, like we talked about Nightmare on Elm Street in that condemned building where they all probably could die. What else is there? Well, it's got a body count. We don't usually have comedies with a body count, but we got Bernie who died, so we got a body count of 1, which I quite liked. Don't usually get that. And I just like the fact that they managed to make the one joke go for most of the film, because it is all around Bernie being dead, which I think is amazing. Amazing they managed to make one film, but they managed to make 2 films out of it, which I thought was amazing. Was there anything in your extensive research, which I know you do, anything else you uncovered?
No, you covered it actually, but yeah, no. Andrew McCarthy would never talk about the second film. He won't even engage with any conversation with it, so I don't mention that. Apparently, the film was inspired by a really low-budget Hindu movie called I'm going to say this really badly, Jabi Do Aro. That classic everybody knows, which presumably features a very similar idea. So maybe that's not the only one. The corpse in it. But I think you actually covered them. What I have, the stuntman got injured quite a lot in that harbour scene that we found so funny. He suffered some broken ribs being towed around on the end of a speedboat. Not surprisingly, really. The apparently, the film inspired a dance craze a few years ago. Although that was the second weekend at Bernie's, the rapper Tredo watched the 1993 sequel, was inspired to create a dance similar to. Oh well, there we go. Bernie's voodoo-assisted gait in the movie. So
I think we might have to do some like worst sequels ever made, and I think maybe Weekend at Bernie's 2 goes into that. Maybe Mannequin 2 as well. Maybe it's Andrew McCarthy. Actually, he wouldn't be in the second one, would he? But anyway, maybe there's some poor sequels. Maybe that's going to have to be a theme for 1 week.
yeah. No, it's that would definitely be good because there's some really awful ones, like all the Jaws ones. I think only the first Jaws was all right, wasn't it? Then the rest got worse.
Yeah, I think one of us is definitely, or maybe both of us, is really upset Mark Zuckerberg because Alison keeps getting thrown out as well. So we're I don't know what we've done, Guy. I can't remember ever saying anything bad about Mark Zuckerberg or how bad Facebook is for maybe teenagers. So I've never said that to anyone. So
Maybe.
I don't know why he's upset.
No, I don't think I've ever mocked him about I've probably got more money than him or anything like that. But probably have now, But that's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
But we're going to live on Mars before Zuckerberg, definitely, Guy. We're definitely going to make it to Mars before him.
Yeah, fine. But yeah, no, I loved it. I thought it was really funny, and I'd forgotten. I haven't seen it for ages. And yeah, I just thought that it was really cool. It's like a concept. It's like a sort of short story, isn't it? Almost like just writing a film, just two blokes trying to convince everyone the corpse is still alive, and it's really funny. And the fact that people are talking to that's another thing that gets me, is that people are chatting to him and put their arm around him. The guy's trying to sort of bid. He's trying to bid for this car, isn't he? And he thinks he's just giving him, he's just being aloof, and he keeps upping his bid and upping it the whole time. It's just brilliant, really. So yeah, it was cool.
And there was a really gross bit where his girlfriend obviously has sex with him while he's dead as well. That is really grim.
I wasn't sure
Sam's scaring me that I've trashed one of my private jets, which is just scaring me a bit. But it's okay. We've got a whole hangar full. It doesn't matter, As long as no one's in the plane, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
There's always another private jet. That's what we say.
If I wasn't more popular than Mark Zuckerberg, I think I would probably cry myself to sleep, to be honest. But anyway, right, Guy. I think it's time for your choice. This is Guy's bid. I'm just going to bring it in.
Nice.
Do you want to tell the good people a little bit about what the synopsis of this film?
Yeah. Okay. So it's John Candy, who's one of my sort of favourite actors. There's this guy called Chet Ripley. He takes his family on holiday, on a sort of summer holiday, up to the woods of North Minnesota. Until his brother-in-law Roman, who's played by Dan Aykroyd, who does it brilliantly, kind of decides to come and surprise him and stay for the whole week. Roman's sort of what you would have been called a yuppie. He's basically like a Wall Street trader. He's sort of obsessed with money. A really good opening scene where you can really sort of see what he's like is essentially Chet and his wife. The kids are down at the pool. They decide to do like a little bit of a sort of role play, because there's no one about. And just as they're sort of getting into that, his brother-in-law is sort of filming it, and sort of comes in like filming it and kind of makes fun of him. And he's got this really horrible laugh at the beginning, which he loses halfway through. It's like a sort of a throaty sort of cackle. So that sets up. Basically, then the two families are there stuck in this sort of cabin in the woods, and Roman's kind of incredibly obnoxious, and they're sitting out on a porch, and he sort of says to him, "What do you see?" Before Chet can answer, he sort of gives him this vision of this industrial wasteland that he's just kind of, it's all about money, and he's buried all this medical waste in the in the lake, and so it kind of goes like that, really. And they just sort of have these various sort of incidents which set these two families more sort of against each other sort of through the week. I kind of like it because the character of John Ripley reminds me of me, actually. It's the sort of thing I do. There's certain things in it that I think, yeah, I'd probably do that. Like he tells a really horrific story about a killer bear and goes completely over the top and, terrifies everyone. And that's the kind of thing I do. And later on, he drives, so you can like watch bears at this dump. Um, and he just gets some action going and he sort of throws them like a chocolate bar, and the bear comes over and he puts another one on the bonnet of the car, and then the bear just gets on the bonnet of the car and another one climbs on the roof. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's exactly what I do. And he's kind of like, he just says to his son, "Did I tell you I loved you?" um, Brilliant. So, but the kind of what I really like about the story is that there's quite a lot of, although it's a comedy, there's like quite a lot of heart to it. And Roman's got all this money, and he has this like distant relationship, with his girls, and he sort of says, why do they look at him like he's Superman, so it kind of goes through that. They're a bit snobby for the whole week, and I'll get on to the steak bit in a minute. But the film is basically about this sort of comedy of errors about these two families, and it ends up all well and good in the end, and they sort of get on, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll kind of go to the cast. So there's obviously John Candy. There'll be no. Hang on, let me just have a quick look. I've got all my cast stuff at the end, haven't I? The guy that I wanted to mention is he always plays old Robert Prosky. That's it. He always sort of plays old guys, and he was a brilliant actor. And if you look at a photo of him, you'll like instantly know, oh yeah, that's him. Played like every sort of old guy part. That was going was sort of played by him. I thought he was sort of really brilliant. So I've got some good trivia here.
Well, before you go on, there, a couple of other people I want to mention. Annette Bening was in the film, first feature film. People remember her from American Beauty. The other person who's a bit more kind of niche, but I love him because he's in Weird Science.
Yeah.
Is a guy called Britt Leet, and he's Reg, the guy who's struck by lightning 66 times. He's Gary's dad in Weird Science as well. So those are. I really wanted to give him a shout out because as soon as I saw him, I was excited because he reminded me of Weird Science.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah. I forgot. I meant to mention the lightning guy. Yeah, he gets struck like 66 times, doesn't he? Pretty sort of horrendous. Actually, I'm going to go to the funny scenes first. So the best story, the best scene really for me has to be the sort of the old 69er. Where they go to this restaurant and there's this sort of legendary steak, 69 ounces, which is like absolutely massive. And obviously, if you can eat it, then everyone gets to eat free, basically. So it's down to poor John Candy to sort of like munch his way through the steak. And the chef, who I couldn't find his name actually, is absolutely brilliant part. He's just really gruesome. He's got this bushy beard and he's standing in this bloodied sort of apron, kind of watching him. And he gets through the whole steak and he's like sweating and, grey. And he finally finishes it. And it's like, that's it, he's done it. And the chef says, he ain't finished, and there's all the gristle. It's going to eat all the gristle from the steak as well. I really, I'm a big John Candy fan. I think he was great, such a good actor, and he really did with those John Hughes films. Like he really liked working with John Hughes, and so he sort of did really well in those movies. And he always, I think, that sort of brought out the best in him, really. There's a few cool things. There's a nice sort of love interest between Chet's older son and the sort of girl in town, sort of like local girl, which is really nice. And it's kind of, in the end, they sort of make up. It's like Roman sort of, it turns out he doesn't actually have a job in Wall Street. He's just there to sort of borrow money. So there's quite a lot of sort of heart to it, and while this happens, the girls sort of run off and they rescue them. A bear comes back, and the bear gets attacked. Oh, hang on, and I almost forgot to mention bat scene as well.
Oh,
And I
God,
had,
oh, wow.
I was
Wow.
it's pretty gruesome, right?
It's very
So this is
realistic. I'm quite scared, to be honest,
the bad
even
boy.
though I know you endorse it.
Yeah. The bat scene is kind of when they first start really getting on. They go in and chase this bat around, and of course, naturally, the bat nearly gets the better of them. It's a 2-pounder. I don't think bats weigh quite that much. There's a few quotes from it as well. The one of the scene when he kills the bat, there's a direct quote from the Blues Brothers as well, which I might be able to sort of find it. Other cool scenes I really like. There's the dead old guy scene, as I called it, where they have this guy that's 109 years old, and he goes to this sort of local restaurant, and he's supposed to have this party, and he's sitting there in sunglasses, but he died on the way over. And rather than do the obvious thing, I guess that's a link to the other film, isn't it? Which would be to call the whole thing off. They put him in a chair, and everyone's kind of talking to him. And then the kids had the photos taken with him, and it's like he's dead. But I thought that was a really good scene. The other thing was shooting the ass hair off the bear. It was really bad. It's animal torture, but I did think it was really funny. But again, all in all, a brilliant film. I really loved it. There's quite a lot sort of going on in it, and it kind of shows sort of John Candy to his sort of, and Dan Aykroyd. I think I can't imagine it being the same sort of movie without those two, really. It just sort of really works well. And Dan Aykroyd's great as the sort of like bad guy, and John Hughes. I'm just looking at a huge list of films that he did. I mean, there's just loads. Curly Sue, Beethoven, Home Alone 2, Dennis the Menace. It just goes on and on and on. 101 Dalmatians. Just did loads of really sort of great films. Quite a couple of which I think had.
He wrote this one, but he didn't direct it. I think it's a guy called Howard Deutsch.
That's
that right?
yeah.
And he also did Pretty in Pink as well, which again was written by John Hughes. So quite a few Howard Deutsch kind of John Hughes kind of partnerships throughout the 80s. Hopefully, guy's back.
Sorry. I
think I lost you for a second.
Yeah. The budget was 24 million, so quite a lot, and it made 43. So I guess that's it doesn't seem bad going, although it was a flop at the cinema. As was, I think, Weekend in Bernie's. I don't think either of them. They were sort of panned a bit by critics, but like a lot of those films later when they came out on VHS, they had a sort of a new audience and they got really sort of loved. So they're both great movies. They sort of deserve it, really. But for some reason at the time, critics didn't sort of go for them, really, which I don't get. I thought they were good. Yeah, that's right. So there's the loon's nest of the cabin was in the Blues Brothers, and also one of the sets was in the Blues Brothers as well. So the country cabin was also actually the same set used in the Blues Brothers. So there's a few little sort of links there, make it quite cool. If you're a nerd, obviously Dan Aykroyd would be a big link because he was actually in it. But yeah, a cool movie. Debut of Annette Bening. That's right. Yeah. The beer, Point Beer, is is actual real beer that's a favourite in that part of the world. So they sort of made sure that everyone drank that. Yeah, I loved it.
Okay. What else do I have to add? Yeah, you mentioned about the Blues Brothers references. I think there's a song in the film which is said to be performed by the Elwood Blues Review.
Right. Yeah.
Which is sort of a nod to those characters, and also the final scene which recreated. And I know you wanted to do, but I know you had an injury in rehearsals. Land of a Thousand Dances by performed by Wilson Pickett as well. That had to be a reference as well. So I thought that was cool. So I'd like to point out this is an 80s PG, and with an 80s PG pre 12 films, there's usually a few things sort of slipped in or or maybe slipped out, I guess, rather with this one. But there is, like, within the first 5 minutes, you have side boob from Chet's wife, uh, which is not common in a PG film of today. So, but I don't think there was much else that was proper 80s PG. Some things for me, some interesting bits. I thought the go-kart scene was massively unrealistic. I've gone go-karting. I don't know how much I weighed when I did go-karting, but I weigh just under 120 kilos now. If I go on a go-kart and there's a boy in the go-kart, like between 40 and 50 kilos, he's going to overtake me every day of the week because the power to weight ratio is completely flawed. Hopefully Alison's put some comments in. It's finally allowed me to share. Oh, good. Well, hopefully no more technical difficulties for you, hopefully. And with my health and safety hat on as well, I'd like to point out that if your kids are stuck in a hole, there's something that happens in this film. It's the worst idea to jump down that hole. All you do is end up being trapped in that hole with your kids. And in this case, they were trapped in there with a bear, which was, I think. But actually, I think I read in one of the earlier scripts, actually, in that bit where they fall in that little grotto bit. In one of the early scripts, Roman finds some gold, which then actually solves all his money problems, which then he shares that with Chet Ripley as well. They obviously changed the ending, but that was one of the possible endings they were going to do. Obviously, another film with a water ski scene as well, which was interesting. Both films seem to be common 80s thing.
A popular skit, clearly being sort of stuck on water skis, one form or another.
Yeah. I also read that John Hughes' first choice for the film was Chevy Chase. And it's kind of interesting what you said, like you can't see anyone else in certain roles, and there's lots of roles you could talk about that, whether it's, whether it's Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop or anything like that. But yeah, again, but apparently Chevy Chase was number one. But obviously he did other similar films like American Vacation, European Vacation, which were very much of the same kind of ilk, really. And you mentioned about John Hughes. Apparently, when John Candy does that flashback scene with the original one with the bear, he's actually dressed as John Hughes in that bit. So I thought that was interesting.
Ah, cool. Right, I didn't realise that. Yeah. The glasses. Yeah, that makes sense actually. Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's that time. We're going to have to choose. I guess anyone who's still online, and I appreciate if you've lasted this long, it might be just Alison. But anyway, I don't know which one you pick. Are you going to stick with your first choice?
I'm going to stick with my first choice because John Candy reminds me of me with my kids in so many ways. So that switches it for me, definitely.
Okay, I can't really pick between the two, but I told, Sam's gone for Weekend at Bernie's. Oh God, that's a cat amongst the pigeons. Okay, I was going to go, considering that I kind of lied about my proficiency in Finnish. I'd probably want to go for the film that is actually in English. I'm probably going to go for The Great Outdoors as well. So I think we're going to make The Great Outdoors the winner. I'm going to go with Team Alan. I've kind of switched teams. I don't know what that means, Alison. It might be that the public have gone for Bernie's, and we might have gone the other way. Sure, let's get them both. Let's get them both. We're going to be stuck in this cabin for weeks, trying to finish off these books. Let's just get them both.
We've got the money.
We didn't back then though. We were, but I'm sure we had a little bit of the advance still left. We had enough for the bourbon, maybe a small packet of crisps, a bit like on Cannonball Run, and the and the videos. Anyway, we should get over these technical problems next time, because I think next time we do this, we're going to do this in person, which I've got a strongman contest in Dorset, and Guy's very kindly offered to put me up for the night. So my thought was we could probably do one on Friday the 27th.
Yeah.
And we can do it. We can do it in person. So we hopefully will get past some of these technical difficulties, and we'll just do it from Guy's place. And I think what we're going to go with is swashbucklers. I think Alison did ask me last time, and she's been very, very. I am house trained. I know I do go to the toilet outside, so that is true. I'll even bring my own spade. Great for the flowers. Completely put me off now. But yeah, Alison's been very, very patient. She asked for swashbucklers. Unless I have anything to the contrary, and the guy and I will discuss this, but please feel free, Sam, Alison, or anyone else come in as well. I think what we talked about before was to do the Princess Bride versus Willow. But if you have any different ideas, please let us know, and we can put those in the mix.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Well, I've got to go walk the dog now because it's only just got cool enough, and now it's pitch black. So Sam's saying Princess Bride. Okay, so we'll probably do that one. It'd be great to hear what Alison would like, because this was her suggestion. So I want to take a big kind of influence from Alison. Both fantastic. Okay, I think we decided then Princess Bride and Willow will be our next films on Film Club. But thank you for joining. Please join us next time. I'm not quite sure where we're going to be. Probably somewhere in Guy's house. I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure we'll get maybe in the same backdrop I can see now.
Yeah,
it could be anywhere though.
It could be anywhere. Yeah, we could be out. We could be in the living room, the kitchen. You know, take your pick. It's I mean, I've got so many rooms, obviously. So to be honest, I haven't been in all of them. So I might just open a room just especially for the occasion.
Yeah, I'd like a map. I'm a bit worried I'm going to get lost in your house, to be honest.
Yeah. On the private yacht, yeah, we could do it on the yacht. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Go accepting the bugs. A crane fly almost fly in my face then. Right, on safety grounds, I'm call it there. But really looking forward to come see you and do this face to face. And actually, after that, there'll be a special film club where we're going to do like a champion of champions and have a look at all the films we reviewed so far in kind of a top trump style, and then see which one comes out on top. So like a champion of champions one as well. But thank you for joining. Thank you particularly, Guy, for joining, and thank you to Sam and Alison as well for joining, and anyone else who watches this video afterwards. But I'm going to sign off now, and hope you have a good rest of your Sunday evening, Guy.
Brilliant. And you, mate. Take care.
All right, cheers, buddy. Bye. Oh my God, I'm almost finished with Cornetto.